You know, in 2008, Venezuela was voted the happiest country in the world, despite the situation. So I think that the most important thing we can do is raise awareness. Let the whole world know. Because if everybody knows, then maybe we can make a difference.
When I was younger, I lived in Venezuela for 6 years. From when I was 6 years old until I was 12, because of my dad's job. We lived in a city called Puerto Ordaz, and I got to attend an international school, where I met other kids from several different cultures and backgrounds. I was very young, so most of what I remember are happy childhood memories and playing with my friends. Still, I also recall my parents discussing how they had to stay over an hour in line at the supermarket in order to get just 1 liter of milk, and not being able to find or buy essential products anywhere, like chicken and other necessary foods. When my dad's job transferred him back to Brazil, our home country, my parents were relieved because not only were we going home, according to them, we had left just in time before things really got bad. It has been 10 years since my family and I left Venezuela, and now, more than ever, the news have been talking about the all-around crisis Venezuela is facing. In those 10 years, Venezuela has faced the death of Hugo Chavez in 2013, who was in power since 1998, just to have him replaced by Nicolás Maduro, with several accusations of illegitimate elections, causing a multitude of protests that more often than not end in violence and death. Poverty, corruption, and inflation have led to no food, no medicine, and a lot of suffering for the Venezuelan people. This, unsurprisingly, has caused millions of Venezuelans to flee their home country to other countries, like Colombia and Brazil. It is estimated that 10% of the population of Venezuela has already fled the country due to this crisis, adding the Venezuelan people to an ever-growing global list of human beings who are forced to leave their home countries in order to survive. Still, after seeing all these reports and coverages of the Venezuelan crisis, I have to wonder, what do Venezuelans think? How do they feel about this? This is why social media is so important in situations like this one. The Venezuelan government is not acknowledging the crisis and the protests, so the people have been using social media to share their own stories amongst themselves and with the world. These are just some of their stories.
20,227,668. That's my Venezuelan ID number, which means that if I lived in Venezuela, I could only buy groceries on Fridays, if they're available.
I'm exhausted because the situation in Venezuela has been talked about in the forms of political ideologies and politicians and political leanings, and the conversation has completely strayed away from what actually matters, which is the Venezuelan people.
I'm just coming back from today's protest. I just found out through Twitter that there were some people wounded at today's protests. And let's see if some of the national channels are reporting the activities from today. Absolutely nothing here. Televen, nothing. Us Venezuelans are forced to get our information through social media, and that's how some initiatives like El Bus TV has been born here in Caracas.
On a personal level, my immediate family, my father is exiled from back home. My extended family, they go out on these protests. My uncle is in jail for being a journalist that tried to shed light on what was going on. My cousin had to leave Venezuela because they were after him as well. This has affected everybody on a human level.
It's basically a problem that's aligned with the poverty one, because people need money to feed their families, and the jobs that they're working are not giving them enough money to sustain their families. So they go into this period of just robbing people, kidnapping, even though they don't want to, is their only way out of this mess that they're in.
And it doesn't matter what leanings you have in an ideological political standpoint. This is about people. This is about people wanting their country back. That's it. And if you have any more questions, ask a Venezuelan, and they can tell you from their personal human level how it's affected them. Please listen.